Gareth, oh Gareth, how have you fallen? A bone spear story. The midday sun glinted off Gareth's mismatched armor, each dented and scratched piece a testament to a different adventure. Laughter, as bright as the sun, bounced off the cobblestones of Fallon's Square as he juggled oranges with practiced ease. At 25, he wasn't just Fallon's resident hedge knight, he was their living emblem of hope, a walking testament that chivalry wasn't dead. Gareth. Elara, the village elder, her usually warm brown eyes clouded with worry, approached. There's trouble in the Whisperwood. Gareth, mid-juggle, caught an orange one-handed. Trouble? What kind of trouble? His smile, as bright as his mismatched armor, never faltered. Elara's voice dropped to a low murmur. A blight, spreading fast. It's already choking the life out of the rare herbs we need for winter's medicine. Gareth's smile dimmed slightly. That's bad. Real bad. He tossed the oranges to a nearby child, their laughter echoing in the square. Don't worry, Elara. I'll head out first thing tomorrow. We'll have those herbs back in no time. The once vibrant forest that greeted Gareth on his foray was a chilling parody of its former self. The dappled sunlight, usually filtering through the leaves, was replaced by an unnatural darkness that clung to the air like a shroud. Twisted branches, gnarled and black, reached out as if to claw him back. The chirping of birds had been replaced by an unsettling silence, broken only by the unsettling rustle of unseen creatures. Gareth, his smile fading with each unsettling step, pushed forward. He finally found the source of the corruption, a monstrous creature, obsidian fur matted and dripping with a sickly green ichor. In its clawed hand, it wielded a spear unlike any Gareth had ever seen. The bone shaft, pale and polished, pulsed with an unnatural light, seeming to emanate from deep within the creature itself. This was the bone spear, legend whispered of its corrupting touch. The beast let out a bone-chilling roar, the sound echoing through the deadened trees. Gareth, his heart pounding, raised his sword. He knew this wouldn't be a simple fight. The bone spear thrummed with dark energy, promising power at a terrible price. Here, in the heart of the corrupted Whisperwood, Gareth stood face to face with the source of the blight and the legend he'd only heard in hushed whispers. His smile, for now, remained. The fight was a whirlwind of bone and steel. The creature, fueled by the corrupting magic of the bone spear, moved with unnatural ferocity. Its obsidian claws raked at Gareth's armor, leaving smoking gashes. The stench of decay filled the air, a constant reminder of the monstrous foe he faced. Gareth fought with the desperation of a cornered animal, his once carefree spirit replaced by a steely resolve. He parried a bone-shattering blow, the impact sending a jolt of pain through his arm. Yet, with each desperate swing of his sword, a flicker of his old heroism shone through. He fought not just for himself, but for the villagers who relied on him, for Elara's worried face that haunted his mind. The turning point came when the creature, blinded by rage, lunged forward. Gareth sidestepped with practiced ease, his years of experience finally paying off. With a powerful swing, he cleaved the beast's leg, sending it crashing to the forest floor. A guttural roar of pain echoed through the trees. Gareth didn't hesitate. He charged, his sword raised high. The creature, fueled by a primal fear, lashed out with the bone spear. The polished bone whistled through the air, a blur of darkness. Gareth felt a searing pain erupt in his shoulder as the spear tip pierced his flesh. He cried out, the sound swallowed by the oppressive silence of the corrupted forest. But the wound, though agonizing, wouldn't keep him down. Gritting his teeth, Gareth ignored the blossoming darkness spreading around the spear wound. With a final, desperate swing, he brought his sword down on the creature's skull. The bone cracked with a sickening thud, and the beast lay still, lifeless. Gareth stood panting, his vision blurring at the edges. He ripped the bone spear from his shoulder, the darkness around the wound pulsing in response. It felt as if the weapon itself was trying to claw its way back in. He tossed the spear aside, the polished bone clattering harmlessly on the forest floor. A wave of dizziness washed over him. As he sank to his knees, his gaze fell upon the creature he had slain. Relief battled with a growing sense of dread. He had won, but at a terrible cost. The darkness from the bone spear throbbed ominously around his wound, a chilling reminder of the fight's true price. The forest, once silent, seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see if their hero had truly triumphed, or if something far more sinister now lurked within him. The journey back was a blur. Gareth stumbled through the Whisperwood, a single-minded focus driving him forward. The village. He had to get back to the village. The pain in his shoulder was a dull throb now, overshadowed by a creeping coldness that spread from the wound like a spiderweb of ice. He emerged from the forest, greeted by a sliver of moon illuminating a world that seemed unnaturally still. The familiar path to Fallon twisted before him, the ground uneven beneath his feet. A guttural growl erupted from his throat, a sound that sent shivers down his own spine. He stumbled, a hand flying to his shoulder. The wound was gone, replaced by a smooth, obsidian patch of fur. Panic clawed at him, but a dark euphoria drowned it out. Strength, raw and primal, coursed through him. He roared again, the sound echoing through the night, a horrifying parody of his once cheerful laughter. The once comforting silhouette of Fallon loomed before him, its windows dark and unsuspecting. Gareth, unrecognizable now, a twisted amalgamation of man and beast, charged. The bone spear, abandoned on the forest floor, had found him. It pulsed with a dark light within his chest, a malevolent heart driving him onwards. He crashed through the village gate, a monstrous apparition bathed in moonlight. Screams ripped through the night. Gareth, consumed by a bloodthirsty madness, ripped through the wooden doors of the first house he saw. Fangs tore flesh, claws raked through bone. The once valiant hedge knight was no more. In his place, a monstrous replica of the beast he'd slain ravaged the village. A young villager, a blacksmith's apprentice named Finn, stumbled out of his burning home. Terror turned to steely resolve in his eyes as he saw the carnage. He grabbed a red-hot poker from the smoldering forge, the metal glowing an angry orange. With a desperate lunge, Finn plunged the poker into the creature's back. A scream, laced with both human and animalistic pain, erupted from Gareth's distorted form. He turned, eyes burning with a cold hatred. But before he could retaliate, another villager, armed with an axe, joined the fight. Then another. Grief and fear morphed into a primal urge for survival. Together, they overwhelmed the creature, their every blow fueled by the devastation it had wrought. The final blow came from a trembling Alara, who thrust a pitchfork deep into the creature's chest. With a deafening roar, the body convulsed, then crumpled to the ground, a grotesque parody of a fallen warrior. Silence descended upon Fallon once more, broken only by the sobs of the living and the crackling of dying embers. The victory tasted like ash in their mouths. Their beloved knight was gone, replaced by a monstrous nightmare. Looking upon the carnage, they realized the true cost of Gareth's triumph, a chilling reminder that darkness, once unleashed, could take on terrifying forms.